Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Now today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I normally do, and it's sort of going to be a little bit of like the story sort of videos that I do with a combination of like reaction style videos. But I'm basically going to be explaining what I think about Airsoft, and this is going to be kind of controversial just because people have different opinions on different things, but I'll explain it from my point of view and why I think the way I do about Airsoft. So I will say immediately right off the bat, I really got into the military through video games like Call of Duty and Airsoft. Airsoft really allowed me to get familiar with firearms, or with guns in general, and it just like I don't know, it sort of drove that passion to really get me excited about joining the military. So before I joined the military, I did not shoot a single firearm. I was just shooting airsoft guns, and I would say it really did help me out for when I did actually join, but I guess I'll get into that later on. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, if you're not really new to Combat Arms channel or who I am, I'll just say I joined the Marine Corps 2012 to be an infantry rifleman. So I started off as I went through infantry training and got the MOS 0311, which is just your infantry rifleman. I got it tattooed on my finger. And then I went on to be an 8152 for a little bit because I was guarding nuclear submarines for a couple of years. And then when I was there, I tried out for the close quarter battle team, which is the 8154 MOS, and then I joined the recapture tactics team, and that was a lot of fun. From there, I went on to do normal infantry stuff for 2 years, and then I joined the Army in 2017, and I basically just switched over, so I was able to keep my rank and everything, and I just went from infantry in the Marine Corps to infantry in the Army, and it was a very smooth transition. So that's sort of my background. It's pretty much all infantry besides the CQB specialized stuff. So that's sort of where I stand. And I'll say that just because I'll have a little bit more passion for guns and tactics, as some people might when they're talking about Airsoft and stuff like that and how it compares to the military. And now real quick before we start, for those who are familiar with my channel, I am working on a new design. You can see that right there. So this will be a new merch design, and if you can tell, it's a flashbang. I hope my drawing is good enough that you can generally tell what it is. But yeah, it's a flashbang. This is actually the flashbang that I used when I was on the recapture team and in CQB school. So yeah, I'm doing a little bit of a design off of that. It's not done yet, and I think you guys can appreciate it whenever it is done. But yeah, I'll let you guys know whenever I finish that. So again, I'm very excited to continue adding new merch designs to the merch store, and of course that link will be down in the description if you want to check out any of the other previous designs. So getting into this video, I'll talk about different things, mainly what I think about Airsoft in general, what I think about how it's affected YouTube and how it's affected the overall YouTube and Airsoft community, because I can say just with YouTube, Airsoft has gotten a lot bigger, and there's a whole lot of influence for Airsoft just from watching YouTube videos. There's a lot of big Airsoft YouTubers out there. There's a lot of people who are in the military that have played Airsoft. So it's cool to have been grown up in that YouTube and Airsoft community and seeing how they sort of help each other out. So I'll be talking about that because I did start my YouTube channel back in 2008. And back in 2008, it was pretty much all Airsoft videos, just me doing a lot of stuff with my Airsoft guns. And most of those videos are unlisted now. I think I unlisted about 500 videos. So yeah, I'll give you guys a sneak peek of a few of those while I'm doing this video.
All right, let's go. They're here in the room. Oh shit, look out! Tango down.
But yeah, there's some pretty cringy stuff back in the day, but it was also a lot of fun. So I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about how people take Airsoft and take it to a whole nother level with like milsim, military simulation and everything, how they take it to a whole nother level. And I think that's where the big stigma comes in with Airsoft. So we'll definitely touch up on that, and then just touch up on other things, why Airsoft is actually really cool, and how it actually helps a lot of people out, especially when they don't have access to actual firearms. So again, I'll be showing you guys the videos periodically, but I did start my channel in 2008. My first video, I think it was just titled Airsoft, and it's literally just me playing around with like my Airsoft guns, doing this really cringy like scenario. I don't even know what you want to call it, but I have a bunch of videos of me playing Airsoft. Now this video right here is just a sort of like a vlog style video because GoPros weren't really that popular back in like 2008, 2009. They weren't too popular just yet. So this video is from 2010. So this is when stuff starts getting introduced, but I just couldn't afford it because I was in high school. So
30.
That was my voice right there. Very prepubescent. And this is just my brother and friends just hanging out.
Hold on. You've been too much.
Again, this is 2010. So the quality isn't very good, but I have a whole lot of videos like this. I was very passionate about Airsoft because, again, I knew I wanted to join the Marine Corps, and more specifically, I knew I wanted to be around firearms since I was in 5th grade. So when I was in high school and I was able to, pay for stuff, that's when I really started getting excited about Airsoft and just being able to live what you would see in video games, to a certain extent. To live what you'd see in video games and also what you would see in movies and whatnot. So that's why I really started getting excited about Airsoft. It was very fun to live that passion, and I didn't have the most, I didn't have the biggest group of friends to play Airsoft with, but whenever I did, I really cherished those memories just because it was a whole lot of fun. And that's really all I did when I was a kid because I didn't really play sports or anything. But I wouldn't really say I'm biased in a sense. I would say I'm just more defensive about Airsoft than a lot of people would be, just because that's what I did instead of sports. People are passionate about sports. I was more passionate about the military and Airsoft, so that's why it makes a lot of sense. But what you'd normally see with Airsoft in the military community is people generally think that people in the military hate Airsofters or they hate Airsoft, and they think it's just people trying to, like stolen valor, people just trying to seem like they're in the military. Now, I won't say that there's not individuals out there, because I've definitely seen people who sort of walk that line where it gets a little bit sketchy. They try and get this persona or perceive this persona to people that, they're in the military, they're doing these operations on the weekends and whatnot. But it gets to a point where you really have to step over the line to get to the point of stolen valor, to where people would actually believe you. So I'm not too concerned about the whole stolen valor aspect. Now, the milsim community specifically can get a little bit toxic just because they take the realism to, the next level. It takes it past Airsoft, and that's totally fine. It gets more towards like war reenactments. But again, a lot of people think people in the military have a big problem with that. And I would say, being in the military, I've not seen anyone talk smack about Airsoft. Like, yeah, it's sort of a meme. It's kind of like a joke for people to make fun of Airsofters. But in reality, like, we really don't care. We don't really think that much about Airsoft. If we do think about Airsoft, it's probably just because we actually play it or we want to play it. And I'll say you'll see a lot of veterans who get into like paintball and Airsoft just because they want to sort of relive that again, which is kind of funny. It's very much the opposite of what people think the military thinks about Airsoft. Now, in this next video, I will be wearing a GoPro because that's when, again, it started getting a little more popular. This is back in 2011, so I did have a GoPro at the time, and yeah, I was playing Airsoft a lot.
I can hear you.
My voice was very, very high pitched.
Move to the hill. You ready? I'll move to the hill.
But it's just like exciting, especially like the.
They're coming down like crazy. I know.
It was exciting because playing Airsoft in New Jersey is very much illegal in most areas. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun.
Habib's over there in the bushes.
So yeah, this is just my brother and I playing Airsoft. So you can see we're getting much more passionate about it. It's not really in the tactical sense because, tactics in Airsoft, again, that's where it gets a little bit cringy, where you have Airsofters who think they're all about tactics just because they watch like YouTube videos and whatnot. But in reality, most people don't really take it that seriously. They use general tactics, but it's usually just stuff they see on Call of Duty. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. There's no sense of danger. And that's why Airsoft can be a lot more fun than actual military training, because in the military we use blanks. Sometimes we'll use paint rounds. But you're taking that seriously because that is your profession. When it's Airsoft, it's a game. It's basically like paintball. Like, a lot of people will take paintball seriously, but at the end of the day, it's just a game, and it's just it's sort of just like a more tactical and a more physical version of chess, to where you're moving around the field, you're doing certain things to try and make sure you have an advantage, and then you're trying to take out the enemy in either in a strategic way or as quick as possible, depending on who you're playing with. But it can be a lot of fun just sort of getting into that mental aspect of Airsoft as well. But it's a lot of fun just being able to go out there and have fun with your friends. Sometimes it's not necessarily having fun, because you will get pretty... Okay, if you guys couldn't tell, there's a thunderstorm outside because it's still monsoon season here in Korea. So I apologize if you do hear that in the background. But again, yeah, Airsoft is a lot of fun when you start to think about the whole tactical aspect. There's definitely a line you cross where Airsoft gets from fun to just being overly serious, and that's generally when you start moving it to milsim. But it was so fun that even when I was in the military, I would do all this awesome military training, this very high budget military training that a lot of people would like to do. Because I have videos up on YouTube where people are like, is this Airsoft? Like, this looks really fun. I'd love to do this.
Safety kill.
But it's just, me firing blanks with my squad or my team. And it is a lot of fun. However, Airsoft definitely has something to where, it takes some of the urgency out of it. It just makes it a little less serious. And I mean, it's kind of fun in those regards. You don't have to worry about being so tactical. You don't have to worry about the planning aspect of it. You don't have to worry so much about the logistics. If someone does go down, providing aid and what have you. So there's those things that really separate Airsoft from actual military training. But we'll sort of get into milsim now. And now that we're talking about that, we'll sort of go into how milsim is inherently different from normal Airsoft. Because milsim is more of military style training, but there is, of course, going to be a distinction just because the people don't have the same tactics. They didn't go through boot camp. They didn't learn everything the same way. There's going to be people doing certain things differently because they're not going to take it as seriously. And then there's going to be people that take it much more seriously. Now, you will see that in the actual military itself. But again, milsim is a whole lot less urgency because you're not worried so much about the planning or the logistics or having to really stress out about, where am I going to sleep tonight? I need to find a solid patrol base so the enemy doesn't find me. I need to make sure I bring enough MREs so I'm not, starving out there. And the logistics really get into the whole military portion. And I think where you start adding the whole logistics portion is where milsim sort of detracts from Airsoft. Now, this video is about milsim. It's called Milsim West. So I think this is just the milsim group started by active duty personnel or just, prior service veterans. So we'll take a look at this and see how they actually take it to the next level, from Airsoft to milsim. And again, it's just going to be adding more realistic stuff that you would see in the military and adding more of the logistics.
Create what it would feel like in the real world, we're not going to do it. So we've really taken that concept and tried to push the bounds of what it's like to be in a milsim event. From limited ammo rules to the leadership structure to how strict we are with kit and gear to how we stage the missions and really give you real world missions and focus on using the Army's 5-paragraph op order and just really giving you the sense and the feel of what it's like to be an actual NATO or Russian or militia type of soldier engaged in an armed conflict.
Again, so with this, they're really trying to get the immersion in there because you have people who might have a military background, but most of them won't have a military background. So they're not used to, the actual operations process and the troop leading procedures of going out and getting an order and letting your dudes know, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. Make sure you start preparing. Make sure you do your checks. Make sure your team is solid. Make sure they know what's going on. So it really starts getting the planning aspect put into it, but also the logistics to where they're limiting ammo. You're gonna have to do a resupply if you need to get more ammo. You can't just carry however much ammo you want because you try and make it realistic because ammunition in real life is much heavier than it is in Airsoft. So carrying 500 rounds of Airsoft BBs isn't going to be nearly as heavy as 500 rounds of live ammunition. So they're bringing that realism aspect into play. And this is still not taking it to the level of some milsim to where you know, it's extremely standardized. You need to have this piece of equipment. You need to have gone through, you know, these classes to make sure that you're ready for this milsim. It's just trying to introduce more of the military into airsoft for people who want to take it to the next level. And I think this is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with people being interested in the military and how the military actually operates and just wanting to be a part of that, because it makes sense. People do see this stuff on Call of Duty and they see this in the movies. And when they actually play airsoft, people aren't taking it as seriously. So they just want to make it more of what they have seen in video games or in movies, or, you know, what their friends talk about who are actually in the military. Now, of course, there's going to be people in the military who are on YouTube talking smack about airsoft, and that's just something you can't avoid. But I would say, from my experience, the overarching majority of people in the military really don't care that much about airsoft. And I would say if they do care about airsoft, then they're just trying to try it out, or they're interested in it because they didn't really know about it before they joined. Me personally, of course, I did know about airsoft. And, you know, I joined the military. Now I'm throwing real flashbangs. I'm shooting real guns. I'm doing all this real infantry stuff. But I still wanted to play airsoft. So I did go back and play airsoft while I was in the military. And it just takes that seriousness from the military aspect and separates it, because, you know, it's non-life threatening. I can wear whatever I want. I can use whatever firearms I want, or, you know, whatever guns I want. And it just makes it a lot more fun, just because you have a little more control about what you're doing. You don't need to have to follow these specific tactics. You don't need to be communicating so much, because it's not that stressful. It's really not that serious, because you're just playing a game with plastic BBs. So it takes that seriousness out of it, and it's still fun to play it while you're in the military. I mean, I wouldn't personally recommend wearing your military kit for airsoft, because if you have, you know, people who were in the military, they might see that and think you're kind of cringe. But, you know, it is what it is. You have gear. You don't want to pay for other gear. It's totally fine. But I did play airsoft while I was in the military. So I'll show you this right here. I think this is from like 2017 or 2018. But yeah, I'm walking around with a shotty. Not ideal in real life. But again, it's just airsoft, so.
Tango down.
So I'm just going around, and I'm having a lot of fun, because I can just go around the playing field and not be worried about actually getting, you know, smoke checked from the side and actually getting taken out. So it's a lot of fun, because you're not so worried about, you know, getting shot from certain angles. If it does happen, then it's whatever. But you can see I'm taking out my spring pistol right now, which is not ideal for airsoft either. But, you know, it's a lot of fun, because I'm not taking it as seriously. And I think that's where a lot of people get airsoft twisted, is people just start to take it too seriously. And that's not really what it was designed for. It's just trying to take like paintball and just take it to another level where, you know, you can use guns that you would play with in Call of Duty. You can use guns that you've seen in movies. Like if you watch a lot of awesome war movies and you just get really excited about certain World War II firearms, you can go to events where everyone is just using World War II airsoft guns, and that's totally fine. So when you take it to another level where it's milsim, that's where it gets a little bit touchier. But again, even with most milsim, it is sponsored or it's created by someone who is actually in the military. So they know not to step over that line. There's not people who are getting out of the military and they're just like, you know what, I want to continue being in the military, so I'm just going to create this airsoft event and I'm going to pretend I'm in the military still. It's really not that serious. You just have people who get out of the military who are passionate about it and they want to spread this culture through airsoft. But again, it's not as serious as people would think. Now, there's a whole lot more you can do with airsoft than you can actually do in the military. You know, there's a bunch of like battle royale videos on YouTube. You can see I did a reaction to Dude Perfect where they were doing a battle royale, but here's another video from them where they're just,
let's see what loot we can find.
this is another one of their battle royale videos. So again, not nearly as serious, but yeah, it really allows a certain level of creativity that you would not see in the military, that you would not be able to express in the military for sure. And people take this to a whole nother level. You have like Mr. Beast, who did the YouTube battle royale, which is like
250
hidden weapons. There are 13 teams with
So,
3 people per team.
very high
Everyone has
budget.
3 balloons, and if all 3 of your balloons are popped, you're out. Last team with balloons wins $100,000.
So you can see again the urgency is there because there's a prize and whatnot. There's 13 teams. There's a whole lot of guns, and the field is massive. But
so before we jump into it, let me introduce
look how awesome that is.
YouTubers that are competing. Lachlan, Laserbeam, Musil, Preston Plays, Unspeakable, Typical Gamer, Phase Adapt, Phase.
So this is again where we start to airsoft and YouTube and really start to combine it, because it allows this amazing YouTube community and this amazing airsoft community to come together and create like an awesome production like this video right here, or this entire competition. It's a lot of fun, and it really allows people to, you know, come together, support each other, and just, you know, have fun. And again, it's not as serious as people would think of when they think of like military. If they're like, hey, you want to come and train with the military, a lot of people would be hesitant to do that, but they would be much less hesitant to go out and play airsoft because it is more of a game. So I guess there's something there where it sort of sensitizes people to the military and being comfortable with, you know, understanding why people join the military. Because some people will join the military just for that adrenaline rush and just trying to have fun or trying to have some adventure. And of course, when you're in combat, that's a completely different aspect. But I think airsoft sort of does something to where it can sensitize people, or I guess desensitize them for doing certain things. So like if someone is really against the military or against firearms in general, you know, if they play airsoft, if they get comfortable with airsoft, if they start having a lot of fun with that, then they might be more willing to go out and try, you know, shooting an actual firearm to see how fun that is. And it sort of takes away some of the scariness or the taboo of loving firearms and loving stuff like that. And I don't know, I think people just become generally more accepting when they can do these sort of things with their friends and have a whole lot of fun. Because it gets away from the aspect of it just being about guns and shooting at other people to just you having fun with your friends. And again, everyone is totally going to be accepting of having fun and having fun and coming together and doing these awesome events, because it's just exciting and it makes the community much stronger. Now, to sort of close this up, talking about that, there are people who, you know, really get into airsoft and they really get into the whole shooting aspect and the marksmanship aspect of airsoft because it's fun. Airsoft guns can be accurate depending on what you're actually shooting, but just the fact of having to, you know, being able to shoot certain drills with an airsoft gun and not have to worry about going to a shooting range or, you know, going to, you know, someone's property where they have a whole bunch of land where you're not worried where the actual bullets are going. If you're just shooting plastic BBs, you can do these shooting drills wherever you want. So a lot of people get into the marksmanship aspect of firearms just from shooting airsoft guns. And then you have videos of, you know, airsofters just going out there and
can he get onto a real firearm, a Glock 19 and my BCM,
and trying real firearms,
and slay drills having only done airsoft. And that's what we're going to find out today. And I think once he gets the recoil figured out, some of the trigger stuff figured out, he's going to blaze it down.
Yeah, of course there's going to be nuances between airsoft guns and real guns just because you have more recoil. Even if you have a gas-powered airsoft gun, you're going to have more recoil, you're going to have more smoke, more noise, and the trigger is just going to be a little bit different. But I would say playing airsoft and shooting airsoft guns really helped me for joining the military, because when I was shooting a pistol, I knew how to hold the pistol. I knew, you know, what my stance should be. Even though I was shooting an airsoft gun, I knew what my stance should be. So if I was shooting a real pistol, I'd be able to, you know, hold back some of the recoil and manage that recoil. So when I joined the military and I did my first pistol qualification, shooting my first real pistol, I did really well because I knew how to use the iron sights on the pistol. I knew how to hold the pistol. I knew generally how to manipulate the trigger, and I knew how to stand. And that helped me, you know, much more than people who had never shot a firearm, or people who shot a firearm but just didn't take it as seriously and they didn't have the right fundamentals. So they're sort of trying to unlearn bad habits. So it really helped me out. Even with a rifle, I shot my first rifle in Marine Corps boot camp. And, you know, just growing up with airsofts like AR-15s or M4s, M16s, I knew, of course, how to hold a rifle. I knew how to manipulate the trigger generally. You don't want to be slapping the trigger. An airsoft gun, it's not that serious. You don't need to be that accurate with the whole trigger squeeze. But I did take it seriously, so I was able to practice those skills. I knew the stance. I knew how to use the iron sights especially. I knew how to use scopes. I knew what eye relief was. So I had a much better understanding of firearms and how to shoot them just playing airsoft. And a lot of people don't really understand that because they don't think it translates well. And it's cool to see videos like this to where they actually test it and see that it really does translate well.
You guys want to see this? You ready? All right, do this. So I'll go first. We will do 6 rounds into the top left circle.
2.10.
All right. All right.
Okay, so that takes
That's your turn.
a lot of practice and a lot of skill to be able to do that with a real firearm. It takes years of training to be able to do it that accurately and that confidently and that quickly. So we'll see how airsoft actually compares.
6 rounds into that circle. Are you ready?
Again, he's used
First
to
time
gear,
shooting a handgun.
and he's used to the manipulation of the firearm.
Are you ready? Ready. Stand by. 6.31. All right.
So you can see he's muscling the weapon a lot more than an airsoft gun, just because he realized there's recoil, and he's just naturally trying to fight the recoil because he's starting to see that, okay, this thing recoils a lot more. I need to try a little bit harder to keep the sights on target. But I was very impressed that he was actually able to clear that malfunction. You get people who have been using and shooting pistols for their whole life, several years, and they have no idea how to clear malfunction. They'll point their weapon, they'll press the trigger, and it'll just click, and they'll be like, oh crap, okay, let me just take out the magazine, let me rack the slide and see if there's anything wrong. He knows why it made that sound and what he should do to correct it. And it was very quick, and I was very impressed that he was actually able to do that. So airsoft really does translate a lot better. So it's, again, you get this sort of meld of civilian life and then military life, and you have these two worlds sort of coming together, and that's really where airsoft sits. And again, you have these people in the military who aren't cool with that, so they don't want these to meld at all. But then you have people in civilian life who just want to get more and more into that because it's a lot of fun and it gives them a better understanding. I think that's what people in the military should understand, that if people are getting into airsoft, then they're getting more comfortable with firearms, they're getting more comfortable with what the military goes through and those differences that you would actually see in the military. No one is going in playing airsoft thinking, okay, now if I go to combat, I'll be totally fine. No one is thinking that. And if they are, then, well, I don't know. They're probably like 0.01% of airsofters. So people in the military should chill out. Again, I haven't seen that firsthand, anyone thinking that, but I have seen videos on YouTube where people in the military will sort of smack talk airsoft just because they don't understand it and they didn't play airsoft themselves until they were in the military. And I would say, just from being on both sides, being a civilian and playing airsoft, and then being in the military and playing airsoft, I can definitely understand it, and it hasn't changed for me besides just being a less stressful way of going out and training. And again, it's a lot of fun, very solid training, and there's a whole lot you can do with airsoft. As you can see, there's a whole lot of creative things you can do with airsoft. It really translates over as far as the marksmanship, and it can really be used to introduce people into actual firearms. So very cool. There's other stuff out there. There's people who collect airsoft guns because they just like how certain guns look and what have you. They might do like reenactments, or for me, I was doing YouTube videos where I was acting with the airsoft guns. So there's a lot you can do out there, and people just need to open their eyes up to the possibilities of what you can actually do with it and realize that it is just a game. It's a lot of fun. You can make it as serious as you want, but at the end of the day, that's totally up to you. And if someone tries to make it a little more serious than you would want, then again, it's up to them. And yeah, I would say this is America, but I'm in Korea right now. But whatever, this is a free world. You can do whatever you want, generally. But yeah, with airsoft, yeah, you should be able to do what you want as long as you're doing it safely and not hurting anyone else or being too stupid about it. Because I have had the cops called on me when I was playing airsoft. And it's just one of those things. New Jersey is not a huge fan of guns or airsoft, so it happened all the time. I was used to it. The cops were sort of used to it, but it's just one of those things. As long as you're doing it safely and not being, too dumb about it, then you should totally enjoy airsoft as much as you want. But that's pretty much my thoughts about airsoft. Again, it's going to change depending on who you ask. But I can say, being on both sides of the fence, playing airsoft as a civilian and being in the military, especially as an infantryman, I know where airsoft sits, and I think people do a very good job of keeping it at that level, not taking it too far that some people might think they do. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments section, especially if you're in the military, if you played airsoft, or even if you played airsoft as a civilian, what you think about it, and if you've had any issues with anyone taking it to the next level and trying to impersonate someone who's actually in the military. Because again, that's not something that I've seen. But let me know what you think in the comments section. If you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up. I would definitely appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. I will try and get some more airsoft style videos out like this if you guys like it. There are a whole lot of airsoft videos I have on my channel that are all unlisted. So if you guys want to see a little bit more of those, by all means, let me know. But some of that stuff is pretty cringy, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone to have to watch those videos. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section regardless. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, but that is it for this one. I will see you all in the next one.